Welcome back. Hello, welcome back to the Joy Mkhami Show. This is a show that is decolonizing and demystifying African spirituality, African healing, and African metaphysics. I am your host, the Joy Mkhami, and I'm so excited because I am kind of doing part two of the topic of trauma in African spirituality. I did the first one talking about just understanding trauma, understanding disease and problems in African perspective, and today we are talking on healing trauma from African spirituality or within African spirituality. I think this is going to be a really good one. So when people go to ancestral healers, sangomas, traditional doctors in Africa, what they're usually doing is basically go and identify the problems that they are currently having, identify the sources of the problems that they're currently having, particularly the spiritual perspective of those problems or those sources as well. So African ancestral healers, sangomas, traditional doctors, what they do is do divination, which is accessing the spirit realm to diagnose problems, to understand why you're going through what you're going through. And these divinations can be done through bone reading, can be done through prophecy, just through the art of seeing beyond. And mostly that's how we divine. And after that, what usually happens through a divination is that first your guides, your ancestors, will give the ancestral healers all the sources of your problems, and at the same time give them all the different ways that you can actually heal those problems. So when you go to an ancestral healer, you can expect a problem diagnosis as well as a solution. And I'm going to just now share all the different ways that you can now heal after you have found what the problems are and what the sources of those problems are. Okay, so there are different ways that we do healing of trauma, healing of spiritual problems, healing of disease. So I want to talk about cleansing or clearing, which is usually done through different forms of treatments. Essentially, with these treatments, we usually use water and herbs to treat problems that you have, and there's problems that are believed to be within your energetic field, and these are problems that might be coming from your childhood experience or current experiences, from your ancestral bloodline, or also from your past lives as well. So with these treatments, we believe that they will permit this energetic field where you might be carrying all these negative thought forms, negative energies within you, and through treatments we clear them off from your field. We release them from the body, and we release them also from the psychic field that is you. And essentially with this cleansing and clearing, we remove the energies from their source, and then that creates a clearing for us to go even more deeper, dealing with the spiritual aspects of the things. African medicine. African medicine is a huge proponent of how we do healing as African ancestral healers. And this medicine can be herbs that, as I've mentioned prior, before, you either use to cleanse the body, or medicine that you can ingest and release all that energy from your physical body in a physical way. In the same way that, say, Western medicine works, African medicine works in the same way. It heals the wounds, it heals also the sources of those wounds. And so that is how we also heal trauma in the lineage, heal trauma in your personal field as well as your soul field. Then we have soul retrieval. Soul retrieval is a modality that has existed within shamanic healing for many generations. And the idea of soul retrieval comes from the understanding that when we go through trauma, and this trauma might be happening to the body or to the mind. Sometimes the soul or your life force actually leaves the body in that particular moment of impact of that trauma, because the trauma is so much. And as the soul leaves the body, it allows the body to heal itself without the soul being fully impacted by that trauma. However, what often happens is that sometimes the soul gets trapped in that specific moment, and it feels like you have lost your life force, your essence, your chi in that particular traumatic event. And many people who have went through the most intense traumas, either on a personal level or even as a collective, they feel like they have lost something after a specific traumatic event has happened. And so ancestral healers, traditional doctors, what they do is they go back in the time stream to retrieve back that soul essence and to return it back to you, so that you can now be your whole self. And soul retrieval as a modality can be done through the dream work, or it can be done with you being there and the shaman journeys within the time stream, within raising that consciousness to retrieve back the soul essence and return it back to you. It is a powerful modality that only some healers are able to do, but it is one of the ways that we do healing trauma in African spirituality. Okay, and so the fourth one is ancestral lineage clearing. This is my favorite. I personally use this modality for healing. And with ancestral lineage clearing, essentially because we understand that some of the traumas that are currently present in our lives originate from a specific ancestor who went through a specific trauma. It is possible for shamans, for sangomas, for traditional healers, ancestral healer, to travel either within or to help you travel within your own time stream, the memories of your people, and to connect with a specific ancestor and heal that trauma with that specific ancestor. And we usually do this by asking the ancestor to let go of the pain, to let go of the trauma, or to make different choices in the time stream so that that particular trauma doesn't impact you in the way that it has impacted you. So for example, if an ancestor went through something traumatic and then they had a heart attack, and from that moment on heart attacks became a problem, we can go back in the time stream and journey further by raising consciousness to ask the ancestor to process that pain, that trauma differently, and to help them go through that trauma in a way that is easy, and then in such a way that the heart attack doesn't have to happen. And when we do that, and as soon as you understand that in the quantum field, in African spirituality, we don't also believe that time is linear and it's only going forward. We also believe you can go back to it in the past, and you can heal things in the past from this current moment. And that as you heal things in the past, you change the present. And as people make different choices in the past, they change the current moment. And so with ancestral lineage clearing, it is the process of journeying to the ancestor who created the trauma and healing it from that ancestor, and then automatically changing the story, the energy field in the entire bloodline. It's a powerful modality altogether. What we truly believe as African spirituality is that everything can be healed through the spiritual or quantum field. So that's it, you guys. Those are the 4 ways of healing trauma that we do in African spirituality. I am sure there are many other ways, but these are the main ones that I wanted to share with you guys. And so the idea is to encourage you to look at the 4 different ways that you can do healing, and to decide to start somewhere so that you can shift your reality, because as soon as you get that, the past is influencing the present, but also the present can influence the past, then you recognize the power of African spirituality. There is nothing we cannot change, that we cannot fix, that we cannot heal. and this is our power. So do the things of sharing with us what you liked, what was an aha moment for you. Click the like button, the share button, hit the bell, because I'm doing more and more of these videos all about decolonizing and demystifying African spirituality, African healing, and African metaphysics. Thank you for joining me.